Awakened Radio at awakenedradio.net is truly a people-powered radio station. We are self-supported by our host, our staff, and you, our listeners. Thank you so much for joining us at the website and clicking our donate button, which you can find above the chat room, as well as sprinkled throughout several of the pages. Join us at awakenedradio.net. Be the difference. Walk the difference. Live the difference. It is time for a new paradigm, and that is all of us working together as one to create the experiences that we all want to experience. Thank you for your love and support of the Awakened Radio family at awakenedradio.net. And now, back to the show.
Hi, everyone. This is Rob. This is my first show, and I'd like you to welcome you to the show and talk to you first about all of my ways to contact me. So you can reach me. I've set up a Twitter account, Awakened Rob at Twitter, so you can reach me there. And there's a link that I have there to my Facebook page, so you can join me there as well and take a poll. I have a poll up about the topics we'd like to discuss and revolving around intuition. So this is obviously about intuition. You could add your own subjects to that poll, and when I get enough responses, I'll gear the show in that direction, or we can change at any time. But for now, I'm just going to be talking about intuition in general, and I posted a good question to get everyone started on my Twitter account. And I think one of the best questions you can ask yourself as related to intuition is, what am I feeling? So too often we think we're not intuitive, but we all get those little nudges that something's wrong and it just doesn't feel right. We might be in a situation where we just don't trust someone, but we push that feeling aside, and it could have helped us not get hurt in that situation. So that's the first question you might like to ask yourself. What am I feeling? And at first, when you begin to ask this question, you might not notice anything. But if you settle down, find the peace in the moment, however small it might be a microsecond, just bring your hand to your heart or your stomach and say, am I queasy? Am I nervous? What do I feel? And maybe those two things are true. Maybe you are a little queasy. So maybe you want to say, I need a moment, and take a step back from the situation and reevaluate. So now that you know you're queasy, you might want to say, well, why am I queasy? What's this connected to? And it might not come to you right away. It might come to you in a few seconds. It might come to you in a few minutes, but whatever, just take your time, breathe, and try to figure out what the queasiness is related to in the situation. If you can, you might want to excuse yourself, walk away, and take time out to, like I said, reevaluate and make the time to sit down by yourself in silence and to feel into really what you're feeling, why you're feeling that way, and to really dig into those feelings. And maybe you'll connect with some thoughts or memories, and whatever it is that you do connect to, write it down just as if you were recording a dream, and you might see that those thoughts or feelings or memories are connected to something. Maybe they're related to how you dealt with this person in the situation that you found yourself in, that you felt queasy about there, and in the past. So in that case, you might need to learn to forgive this person. You never know. They might not be the same. They might still be the same. It's hard to tell. But if you're connecting to your feelings and you're really developing your intuition, you'll be getting the more signals than just the queasiness. So it's taking a step back and maybe saying, hey, I want to work with my tarot cards. So digging out the deck that you're most familiar with and doing a reading for yourself and seeing if there's something related to this person from the past that might be getting in the way of this dealing that you're having, or maybe it's something new that you need to know about. And the tarot cards might help to show that or help to unfold something that isn't clear to you yet. And maybe you'll need to ask several questions about that and do several layouts or spreads, as they're called. I typically start with a one card reading just to see what's the general influence around the situation, so I don't have to do an immediate full spread. So you just do one card and see what it is. And when you're familiar with the tarot, you'll see that certain cards are colored in certain ways, like the sun is bright in most decks, and then other cards are dark and dingy. So those might be warning you away from the situation. But you'll have to dig deeper than the one card reading. And by sitting in silence with the tarot card, you might enter into a conversation with it. With a good question might be, so why are you showing up? What are you trying to tell me? And see what comes to you. And that's the best way to work around the situation, is to just to see what's coming up through the card, and again through your feelings. But the card can help to illuminate your feelings and see what they're pointed to, whether they're pointed to something from the past about the situation, something that might happen in the future, and that way you can be better prepared. You can go into the situation with more awareness, more consciousness, and in that way you'll be able to really make a better decision with more awareness. You still might get hurt in some way, but you'll be more aware of what's going to happen, so you might be able to cut your losses to be less dramatic. If you really have to enter into the situation, you can make plans with your intuition to interact with this person less than you would in the past, but get your dealings done in a way that you feel at least comfortable with. So, again, falling back to your feelings and then looking to the tools like the tarot or the runes, whatever you're familiar with, to make your decisions. So, again, going back to what are you feeling? So, know that your intuition might work with your feelings, and that might be your strongest way to intuit, as they say. So you might also get your intuitive hits through hearing. So you might hear something, like you might hear the wind, or you might hear, have a memory of the past where somebody warned you about this person. So it might be through hearing, it might be through smell, it might be through taste. You might have a really bad taste in your mouth about this person. So then what do you do? Then obviously you walk away and take some time out and ask, why do I have this bad taste in my mouth? Just like you had your feeling. So why do I taste this? Why am I sensing this? So really paying attention to your senses and your feelings. And again, remembering the best question, what am I feeling? And then working to see if you're not feeling anything, am I having some other sensory perception, and going from there and trying to work with that and going deeper and delving into your perceptions, whatever you might have, whether you get an image in your mind or get a taste or a smell. Don't dismiss it, I'm really encouraging you to delve into these things and not think that they're odd. Just acknowledge that it's possible to have an intuitive sense through different ways. It's not just a knowing. Some people can see images, some people hear things. So just knowing those things. And if you have a question, you can feel free to post in the chat room. And remember, as I mentioned before, you can post to my Twitter account, Awakened Rob at Twitter. Also, my main account is Numbers by Rob. On the Awakened Rob, I have a link to my Facebook page for the radio show, and it has a poll up on what topics you might like to discuss. So that's how we'll shape the program. And right now we're talking about our senses. So you might take some time to go there now and do that. Now, everyone's going to receive it, like I said, your intuitive information in some way. It might be a nudge of some type. It might be an empathic feeling. It might be dreams. It might be just a really flash of insight, like, hey, I knew this a long time ago about this person, and I had forgotten it for some reason. And all of a sudden that hits you about why they're behaving this way, and you might actually be able to have a real conversation with this person about why they're behaving in a particular way again. So it might also be some other extrasensory way. It might be like static in the air that you feel tense. It's really a whole lot of different ways. You might be having a waking dream. So whatever it is, think of it as an inner experience that's important to you. So whether it's sound or a feeling like wind blowing through the room or just knowing, relate it somehow to the outer world, but there's always the need to ask, why am I having this sensation? And when have I paid attention to these feelings before, and how did that pan out? So relating back to that, and this will help you to really be your own intuitive guide. And as you're having these memories and sensations, the best thing to do is to sit down and journal what you make connections with. So if you get tingling sensations when you're nervous about someone, write that down as tingling sensations, obviously, and write what it's connected to. Maybe they're lying and you get a tingling sensation. So, and that happens to you a lot. So write that down and in your journal and record those kind of thoughts. Maybe you see a symbol of some kind, like a dog crossing the street, when you're relating to this person that you're having a problem with. So write that down if that happens, and it's a common occurrence. The big concern here is we all have our own personal symbology. So, for instance, what does the dog mean for you? What does any kind of animal mean for you? Or perhaps an insect, a bee. What does a bee flying through the room mean for you? For someone else, it's going to mean something entirely different. And for you, you might connect it with childhood memories of, playing outside, having fun with your family and your friends. But some other people might relate it to being allergic to bees, and they might have that aversion to them. So the bee might represent some kind of trauma to them, where to you it's more of a healing memory. So everyone has their own lexicon, personal symbology, whatever you want to call it. So keep your journal. That's the biggest step in really developing your intuition and growing it, is to know what your own symbols mean for you. But of course, they may change over time, but for the most part, you'll have core symbols, and they can come back into your life at different times, and you can explore them on your own as well. You can have conversations with them and ask them what they're bringing, what they're what they're offering you, what they would like to bring into your life. Basically, how they can help to heal your life or make it at least better, and how can they be a good guide for you at this time. So that's something to really pay attention to. And the next step after keeping your journal is like I said, is to start to talk to them, start to incorporate them into your life. So you'll want to set aside space in your home for regular meditation or just silence, whatever is appropriate for you. If it's silence or if it's prayer or if it's meditation, set that aside. That's time to really connect with your intuition. And here you can have outer symbols of the intuitive symbols that have been coming to you. So if you have the bee, you might have a little pin for the bee on your dresser or in your space that you're set aside for meditation or silence or prayer to connect with your intuition. And you might have a little desk or table or altar and place the bee pin there if it's one that's guiding and healing for you. And then over time you'll gather other symbols, and that will help you to really, take a step towards developing intuition for yourself and empowering yourself. So again, keep the keep the journal, and at the same time you'll want to pay attention to your dreams. They may have important symbols as well. So the best thing to do is to keep a separate book for your dreams and see if there's any correlating symbols or feelings or senses within the dreams. And over time, you'll notice particular symbols are recurring, and they may be related to real-world events, and may be even related to the symbols that you're already aware of. So you may be seeing the bee in your dreams, and it may be even talking to you there or guiding you along a path. And if it does, or wherever it leads you or guides you, pay attention to how you feel as you follow it. The best and most helpful intuitive aids, as you might call them, you're going to feel good when you're following them. And that's really a guiding factor in following your intuition. If you're feeling good, then that's a helpful aid. If you're not feeling good about it, then it might not be an aid for you. So just pay attention to that. Again, going back to what am I feeling? How do I feel about this? Now, the dream might not be a comforting dream, but the underlying guidance still will help you to feel good. It might be a dream that seems a little scary at first, but again, it goes back to looking at the dream and asking what the images mean, what the message means for you, and working through it, and eventually you'll discover that it has a message that's geared towards helping you to clean up something within your life and step past it. So connecting with all of the help that the dream offers and recognizing that, and also recognizing that the initial imagery, although perhaps scary or confusing, really is very, very helpful, and you can work with that. And that's really the best approach, is to approach the dream with curiosity and try to work through all the clutter of the dream and get to the base message. So again, one of the most helpful guides is, what am I feeling? And once you consider that and clear through the clutter of the dream and really address what you're feeling, you'll see you feel quite good about it. And if you don't, then you might ask for another dream or an event to happen within your life to clear up what the dream really means for you. Or you might go back to the tarot and dig into that and do a spread about the dream and see what it means. So it's really asking questions about what you're feeling, what you're sensing, and going to your tools like the tarot or the runes and taking a step to dig deeper, but also recording what you're experiencing and what answers you're getting so that you can correlate it in the future. And over time, you may not need to record or ask as many questions because you'll be able to do your interpretation a lot more speedily, but it's always good to connect to the feelings and the senses that you're having with your intuition and take time out to really foster it by having a space to spend time in that's geared towards dedicating yourself to developing your intuition and paying attention to your dreams. So journaling your dreams, journaling your feelings, and journaling your personal symbols, and that will definitely help you to deepen and develop your intuition. So now for some questions. You might have, obviously everyone at one time or another has a sensation when a phone is about to ring and they know it's who's on the other end. There's an example of intuition. You might have had an intuitive hit about the sex of the baby of one of your family members or friends. That's another intuitive hit. And then, of course, there's all the aha moments that we all have at one time or another that we dismiss that seem so clear and concise in the moment, but then we dismiss it as, oh, I just knew that was going to happen anyway. So paying attention to those aha moments, those crystal clear moments in time that you just seem to know something. If you're keeping a journal, you can record those moments of lucidity and really pay attention to them. The next step after recording, as I said before, is to really set aside space, and I think this is important to cover again, is setting aside personal space in your home that's really dedicated just to having a personal practice around intuition, perhaps also around meditation or prayer or silence or all of them, and really dedicating time each day, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or an hour, just as if you were exercising, because this is exercise, and spending time in that space, accessing your intuition in some way. It might be just looking at one tarot card a day and feeling into it and seeing how that feels to you. Writing down your feelings about the tarot card or not, and then perhaps getting out your journal and writing a story about the card to see what comes up for you. So if you are afraid of the card, that might help you to really explore it in a lot more detail and just write freehand. Don't edit anything or stop yourself. Just write the story and see what comes out. Perhaps what comes out is part of the meaning of the card. And that way, that's another way to really connect with your intuition, is just writing. It will work with the tarot cards, it'll work with the runes, it'll really work with any situation. If you don't have your tools with you, you can get out a piece of paper and just start writing about how you feel in the situation and keep writing to see what comes up. Maybe you can write about one of your personal symbols, like the bee that we talked about, and then maybe it has something to say. So keep writing, see what comes out. That's another tool in your arsenal. Could be very helpful, especially when you're out and about and don't have time to go home. And it's another tool in the arsenal. Um, Again, it's all definitely connected to what you're feeling, what you're sensing. Pay attention to your heart, not really your your inner heart, your soul, not your head. Try to disconnect from that. You can still be discerning, but try to disconnect momentarily and really connect with the inner you to see what you're feeling, what you're sensing, and the things that I've mentioned are really ways to do that so that you're not where you're stepping out of the worry and the stress, the tension, whatever it is in the moment, and finding a peaceful space, if only for a moment, so that you can connect with yourself and into a, a different space, a different time, and really make space just for you for listening to what your inner voice has to say. It can be very powerful, very, very balanced, and over time you'll learn to do that quickly. So it's really stepping out of the static and the noise of everyday life, and you might develop reminders for ways to do this through having your personal space at home where you can actually step in to this quiet time and envelope yourself with this and then bring that out into your life so that when you're in a stressful situation, whether it's in a relationship or work or anywhere else, you'll be able to be calm and centered and be able to make more clear decisions. So that's really what intuition is about. Is about, making clear decisions and seeking guidance and knowing that you can be your own guide. So finding a way into your heart, finding a way to set aside the constant chatter that might be coming from the inner critic or the inner worry person and set aside that momentarily. That voice could come back, but for the moment, stepping into a different area, different zone, whatever you want to call it, and really tapping into this. So it's really a process. And if you're not considering yourself already intuitive, then again, going back to the simple questions, what am I feeling? And then journaling, setting aside space, setting aside time, and going and dedicating yourself 5 minutes to that process. And over time, you'll become stronger, and you'll really learn to find what your favorite tools are and work with them pretty speedily. So meditation, I really recommend, or prayer, whatever you're more comfortable with. Or if it's just silence, just sitting silently, like I mentioned before. And I have a quote from Deepak Chopra. He says, "When you expand your awareness, seemingly random events will be seen to fit into a larger purpose." So I think we're ready for a break now, and I'll be back momentarily.
You know you want to host a show. You know you've got a message. You know your message needs to be heard by the world. What's holding you back? You don't want to mess with all those gadgets. You don't want to bother with promotion and producing and archives and, well, I've got the answer for you. At awakenradio.net, you show up, you host your show. You have someone that produces it for Donna Devane a message, she'd be more than happy to talk with you about doing your very own show. AwakenRadio.net. We are occupying the airwaves and changing the world. Join us. We're more than an online radio station. We are a family focused on making life better for everyone. Hello, this is Donna Devane, the Barefoot Guru station owner, right here at AwakenedRadio.net. Thank you so much for supporting us through listening, joining us live in our chat room, taking part in our forums right here at our website. And we've got a brand new way for you to support our station, the Awakened Store. In it, you will find stones and crystals, dream catchers, books on healing, courses, classes, one-on-one healing and psychic sessions with our host. There's a lot more headed your way at AwakenedRadio.net. Remember, we are totally a listener and host supported radio station. Join us. Let your voice be heard. Host a show. Support our host. Help us by sharing our links and writing a review for our website at Alexa. That link can be found on our home page. Thank you again. Thank you so much for taking part and helping us grow. Everything that we have done, and we've done a lot, has been the result of all of us working together so that we can all thrive and all be successful. That's what Awakened Radio is all about. Thank you, I love you.
Whether I'm on the go or just at home laying low, I listen to AwakenedRadio.net.
And now, back to the show.
Hello, everyone. We're back. I have a quote from Albert Einstein about intuition. Here it is. The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. We will not solve the problems of the world from the same level of thinking we were at when we created them. More than anything else, this new century demands new thinking. We must change our material-based analysis of the world around us to include broader, more multidimensional perspectives. And Brian Weiss says, "Come from the heart, the true heart, not the head. When in doubt, choose the heart. This does not mean to deny your own experiences and that which you have empirically learned through the years. It means to trust yourself, to integrate intuition and experience. There is a balance, a harmony to be nurtured between the head and the heart. When the intuition rings clear and true, loving impulses are favored." So, like I was saying before, really paying attention to your heart and trying to discern what you're feeling and what you're sensing. And those are pretty important. Now, there's exercises that you can do when you're initially beginning that might help you to really speed your process. And one of the things I like to do is to really formulate a question that's meant for the inner you, your bigger spirit part of you. So you can start with, what am I feeling? But then you might come to a bigger question, like, what's my right path? Or why am I experiencing this right now? As an example of a bigger spirit question. And you can write that down, tape it on the mirror, put it near your bed when you go to sleep so that you might have a dream about that. Then you might work on allowing to the answer to come in whatever form it might come. So it might come in a dream. It might come by a person telling you something, and they think they're saying one thing, but you're hearing another. It might come through a real life event. It might come through some form of synchronicity. Whatever it is, be open and receptive to really receiving the answer and not dismissing it. So really paying attention to your answers. And that means just being more aware in general. And then, obviously, you'll have to find a way to make your answer concrete and then use it. Use the answer in some way. So why am I giving this path or this experience right now is one thing, but then when you get an answer that says you need to take a step towards this next phase, then what do you do with that? And how do you interpret that? That's up to you. But that's the most important part, is really giving it some concreteness, some context, and really helping yourself to use your knowledge and not dismiss it. So now we're getting the feeling or the sensation or the answer, and we're not dismissing it. But now, beyond not dismissing it, is to incorporate it, integrate the answer into your life, and start to work with what's being called for. So it might be something simple. It might be like take a walk in the park every day, or it might be something far more complex, but doing whatever you feel called to do, as long as it's safe. Well, safe in the way that it's not going to harm you physically. It might be something that causes tension but still allows you to grow, as long as the ultimate end is that you're taking a step to grow and to develop your intuition. So it's questioning your answer and analyzing it in a way that is helpful for you and is ultimately empowering. And then you're golden, and a light pops in your head and says, aha, I have the answer, and I can work with it, and I can do this again. And you will be able to do it again, and again, and again. So really paying attention to that and doing it in a way that makes sense. So, as I briefly mentioned before, it's really about being present, being aware, being in your life, and paying attention more to what's happening around you, what senses you're receiving, what feelings you're receiving, actually being present. And that might actually lead you to other fields of study that aren't necessarily about intuition and aren't really about study at all, but perhaps you'll be led to a new belief system. You might be led to Buddhism, or you might be led to deeper into whatever church you belong to, if you belong to a church. Whatever it is, follow the calling, because it might be connected, whether it's a church or it's a group of people or it's an activity of some sort of study about compassion or forgiveness. Just allow yourself to take that path, and you'll may be amazed in the end where that leads you to. You might pick up a course of a personal practice around joy or compassion and practice that for a year and see how that transforms your life. I've worked with joy and I've worked with compassion for periods of time, and at first it was simply with the joy practice, it was watching comedies and really connecting to the I want to call the funny in the comedies, and really allowing myself to feel that. And like they say, if you study The Secret or any kind of what the bleep do you know movie or um, the Seth materials or Law of Attraction, they all talk about really connecting with the feeling and being in the feeling. So to me, it was really bringing more of that joy into my life. So you might be guided to that kind of practice, or to compassion, or to any really, could be anything. It could be forgiveness. The point is, it's your intuition is leading you in that direction. So allow yourself to be directed, as that's part of the answer that you've received. So by allowing yourself to being directed, you're deepening your connection to yourself and ultimately your intuition. And you're being present, more present. And you're allowing yourself to decouple from your normal mental processes. They're still there, of course, but you're letting those, developing the skills to set aside those thoughts and words and constant mind chatter that's coming to you, and that might even lead you to other fields of study such as voice dialogue that really allows you to learn about what's going on, what are the different voices inside of you, and why are they there, what are they saying, what do they want, what do they need. So again, it's all about finding ways to settle your life and take steps towards growing and healing and becoming a better you. However that is, whatever your path is, whatever you're being pulled towards. And that's really part of the benefit of learning to be more intuitive. It's really tapping into that lushness, the richness of your life. And however that works, really just following it. So being willing to ask yourself questions, following up on those questions, being willing to look for signs, symbols out in the world. And so when you're out in daily life, simply paying attention to what's going on around you, not being oblivious, really paying attention. So that might be hard at first. So whatever struggle you might have, learn to have compassion for yourself. And Pema Chodron, who's a Buddhist nun and author, has a really good practice that she teaches people that's very powerful, and it's called Tong Len. And what it is breathing in whatever's bothering you as a form of meditation and transforming it into something you desire, something you want, and releasing that not the pain, but the joy, for instance. So you breathe in pain, transform it into joy, and release it out into the world for yourself. So this is started as a personal practice, and you can eventually expand it out to, your family and friends, and then eventually to people you might have a little bit of an issue with, and then people you have a bigger issue with, and eventually people that you would never think you can allow into your life at all. But it basically starts with you and spreads out eventually, but it takes time to work with that, and it really allows you to learn about yourself and your capabilities and what compassion means for you. And it's not about pity, it's about really caring for yourself and making yourself important. And there's a lot of good quotes from Sharon Salzberg on compassion, and she really talks about how it's not an easy practice, but one that's very rewarding if you're willing to do it. Um, so really finding a way and finding tools that can help you to really connect with yourself and into your intuition. So that might be one of them that you're led to. And you can find that in many of her books and on her website. And I believe she has a November column in Shambhala Sun about it. So I recommend reading that. It's online and it can be very helpful. So beyond just paying attention to your feelings, you might initially like to do simple steps to really start to hone your intuition. So you might have ringtones on your phone set up for your friends. You might initially set them all back to this same ringtone and not look at the phone to see who's calling and simply guess when the phone rings. And you may be more right than wrong. You never know. It's part of kind of just playing sort of a, can I tap into my intuition game? Can I guess the correct answer? And that might be one way to really connect both with your feelings and your intuition, because we're always expecting a phone call from a certain friend or family member, and then when we get it, it really helps us to feel good about ourselves because we were expecting it. So you're not only tapping into joy and excitement, you're tapping into your intuition. It might not be them, it might be them, and you may get better over time with that kind of a game. And you can do the same thing like I mentioned before with the tarot or the runes. You can use those for guessing games. You can pick a card and guess what it feels like, guess what colors are on it, guess what symbols are on it, and then flip it over and see how right you were, and work through the deck or work through a few cards each day. Over time, you might get more and more accurate. We all have different tools that we're good with, so that might be a good tool for you. You might work with the runes. You might work with the Zuni fetishes or bones. And there's all kinds of tools out there that help you to really hone in on your intuition. Some of them are easier to use than others. A pendulum might work. You can make a pendulum out of a paperclip and string, so you can simply hold the pendulum in your hand and ask yes and no question. So what is yes, for instance, to define what way the pendulum swings, meaning is yes. So if it might be straight up and back, and then what is no, that might be, for instance, sideways. And then ask a question that you know the answer to, like, am I a male, am I a female, and see if the answers correlate, and just have fun with that. See how well, start to ask more questions that are more serious over time, and see how accurate you are with the pendulum. And so you can gather those kinds of tools together and develop your skills with those, and then you can branch out and find teachers that can come into your life and help you as well. It doesn't have to be a real person. It could be, a physical person that's in your presence. It could be an author of a book that you pick up, and you can use that book as guidance. It could be just asking for a teacher each day. So asking, can I have a teacher appear to me that helps me with this issue? And that teacher might be a person. It might be a situation or experience. It might be just a sign that says stop that appears out of nowhere. It might be any number of things, but consider any aha moment to be your teacher that day. So really just finding ways to bring these teachers, whether they're people or situations, into your life and really being open, like I said before, to receiving them. So those are really some initial steps at developing and opening to your intuition. Now, as I mentioned before, you can connect with me on my Facebook page or my Twitter account for the radio show. It's called Awakened Rob at Twitter, and that has a link to the Facebook poll that I posted about questions around what you'd like to discuss around intuition, because there's many, many topics that we can cover. Some of them we can discuss in a night. Just the intuiting and sensing and feeling is really just the beginning. You can really work with your body in many different ways. You can tap into your aura, other people's auras, to really start to sense what's there. You can work with the meridians, especially if you study Tai Chi or yoga or karate or Reiki. You can work with the chakras. Again, if you study various healing modalities, and I've studied Reiki and I've studied polarity, so we can really talk about those. It's all up to you. And you can, again, I posted the call-in numbers, so you can call in and suggest something, or you can email me through my Twitter account or my Facebook account and contact me that way. Just whatever you're interested in, we can really gear the show that way. Dreams, that could be a whole topic for many, many shows. We can have many different types of dreams, and I like to really focus on the personal element in the dream, because that's where the best guidance often comes from. We can have dreams about the future. We can have dreams where loved ones come to visit us. We can have lucid dreams where we're traveling. But there's always, most likely, a personal element to the dreams. And that's, like I said, can be very helpful, very healing, very growth-oriented. So you might want to pay attention to that. One author that really makes a lot of sense and is very simple reading around dream work is Robert Moss, and he's had online classes as well, so he can be a good teacher. And his book, Three Only Things, really talks a lot about synchronicity in a much easier way than if you've read Carl Jung. So it's really helping you to pay attention to that, and we can talk about synchronicity and things of that nature. So really pay attention to what you'd like to learn about and ask for that, and I'm willing to talk about that. So please contact me again, Awakened Rob at Twitter, and that has my Facebook link on there. And you can contact me on the show page as well, and it's all up to you and what you'd like to discuss, because I'd like to really have a more interactive kind of show, and I'm hoping that more people will show up and ask questions about their intuition, about their dreams, so that we can not only help them to see what their dreams mean for them, but often by exploring a dream, we help ourselves to grow, but also other people, just by being in that experience, have their own aha moments and their own growth occur. So that's all very helpful. And again, I gave out the number to call earlier, but I'll give it again. And right now in the chat room, and that's 334-649-7204 to call in, or if you're in Skype, you can join Awakened Radio and call in that way. And that's the ways to reach us in the future. And I guess 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central is the time for the show. And don't forget to poll on Facebook, and I'll try to gear the show towards that. Meanwhile, I guess one of the best things you can do is to ask for a personal symbol around an issue that you're working with between now and next week. And again, remember to ask, what am I feeling? What am I sensing? And that can be very helpful, and find a way to dig deeper. And good luck with your journey.
Hello, this is Donna Devane, the Barefoot Guru station owner, right here at awakenedradio.net. Thank you so much for supporting us through listening, joining us live in our chat room, taking part in our forums right here at our website. And we've got a brand new way for you to support our station, the Awakened Store. In it, you will find stones and crystals, dream catchers, books on healing, courses, classes, one-on-one healing and psychic sessions with our host. There's a lot more headed your way at awakenedradio.net. Remember, we are totally a listener and host supported radio station. Join us. Let your voice be heard. Host a show. Support our host. Help us by sharing our links and writing a review for our website at Alexa. That link can be found on our home page. Thank you again. Thank you so much for taking part and helping us grow. Everything that we have done, and we've done a lot, has been the result of all of us working together so that we can all thrive and all be successful.